Good day to everyone. I'm Tim Meekum, the Foundation's Chief Medical Officer, and I have the privilege of introducing Dr. Howard Soule, who will deliver the special lecture on prostate cancer. Dr. Soule is the Executive VP and Chief Science Officer at the Prostate Cancer Foundation, where he manages global research activity in the academic, government, and biopharmaceutical sectors. In addition, he is a member of the Department of Defense Prostate Cancer Research Program Integration Panel. Dr. Soule has a long history of working for the Prostate Cancer Foundation, and prior to that, he was a senior R&D executive at Corvus International, a public technology company. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Howard Soule.
I'm most grateful to the organizers of this conference to give me an opportunity to discuss the Prostate Cancer Foundation today. The organization was founded in 1993 by philanthropist and financier Michael Milken, who is now also a board member of the Focus Ultrasound Surgery Foundation. It was originally called CapCure, and from inception to date, the goals have remained the same: to discover new treatments for the advancement of prostate cancer. The foundation, since inception, has raised over $830 million and has funded more than 2,200 research programs around the world, including 22 countries, of which we are very proud. Since '93, the major achievements are a reduction in death rate from prostate cancer by 50%. We've also created a new model for streamlining funding, making it much easier on investigators to get good ideas that are out of the box, funded, and in the laboratories and clinics around the world. We have recruited the best and brightest scientists and physicians. Whether or not they had experience in prostate cancer research didn't matter. We just wanted them in our family, helping to solve our problems. And finally, we've collaborated with great partnerships with for-profit institutions, governments, and universities around the world. It's of great pride and honor that our fingerprints are on every approved FDA-approved life-prolonging therapy for prostate cancer. Most recently, the PARP inhibitors. All of this was jump-started by our foundation in ways that were unimaginable at the time. Around February of 2019, we focused, and Mike Milken focused all of his enterprise to address issues related to COVID-19. And I wanted to share with you some of the achievements that we have accrued during this unprecedented period of time. There is a molecule named TMPRSS2, which is a co-receptor for the virus SARS-CoV-2 that was well known in prostate cancer, and in the prostate is regulated by androgens. This molecule in lung is responsible for the primary attachment of the virus to the lung epithelial cell, resulting in the first stages of infection. We went to work on this and had two very large knowledge exchanges by webinar with attracting hundreds of attendees from around the world. The first one was on the biology of TMPRSS2, led by myself, Drs. Jameson, Sharifi, and Alamonte. And a second one co-led by myself, Chuck Ryan from Minnesota, and Bill Dayhut from the National Cancer Institute, on clinical trials that people were starting to think about against TMPRSS2 in the context of COVID-19. And since then, we're proud to say that we've launched two clinical trials in this area. One is a repurposed drug called Camostat that actually blocks the TMPRSS2 proteolytic activity on the lung epithelium. This is led by Joe Vanetz of Yale University. And the second one, led by Matt Reddick from UCLA and the West Los Angeles Veterans Administration Hospital, testing an androgen-lowering drug, Degarelix, which is a first-line treatment for advanced prostate cancer, but in hospitalized patients with COVID-19. So we're extremely proud of our efforts to make a dent in this unprecedented pandemic, and we'll see where these clinical trials lead us in the future. A great example of how our foundation works is exemplified through a program and a drug that is now called Ensolutamide or Xtandi, which is approved by the FDA for the treatment of advanced prostate cancer in many different clinical settings. The science is fabulous, led by Charles Sawyers when he was a fellow at UCLA, and a very small project that we funded in Charles' lab led to the production of models and new compounds that were sort of heretical at the time. We thought we knew everything there was to know about the androgen receptor, and Dr. Sawyers knew better. He created these models that allowed us to understand that androgen receptor was actually overexpressed and mutated in progressive prostate cancer. And atom by atom, with the help of a brilliant medicinal chemist at UCLA, Mike Jung, and the intellectual depth of Owen Whitty, their mentors at UCLA, identified a compound which is now called Xtandi and is sold globally for the treatment of prostate cancer. This drug was shown to prolong survival in phase 3 and randomized clinical trials, which led to several FDA approvals in different settings for prolongation of survival in men with advanced prostate cancer. So you can see that for a modest investment in the research of extremely bright people, we made a big difference, a very big difference. And there are a number of medications in this class. Apalutamide is another, which also had a very similar structural compound to enzalutamide that in similar settings also prolonged survival and prevented progression to bad disease. This drug is also approved by the FDA. And finally, a third one, darolutamide, similar findings. So for a very modest investment in good research, good science at UCLA many years ago, resulted in 3 medications for the treatment of men with advanced prostate cancer that actually prolonged survival. We also invested in a medicine called Aboraderone, which is an adrenal androgen antagonist, we thought. But what it actually taught us was that inhibition of the target of Aboraderone, CYP17A1, actually blocked intercrine androgen production. In other words, the tumor was producing its own fuel. And this medication, in studies led by Elahe Mostegel and many others that took it further into the clinic, actually was a new way of thinking of prostate cancer and prostate cancer clinical pharmacology. This drug, too, was shown to prolong survival in men with a lethal form of the disease and was approved by the FDA in the setting of advanced prostate cancer and many other indications for this disease. Again, a modest investment by a thoughtful foundation has led to a blockbuster medication. I'd also like to state that the era of precision medicine, as we call it now, began through a very large grant in our terms to the University of Michigan, to Ken Pienta, who's now at Hopkins, Arul Chennaiyan at Michigan, and others, including Samik Roy Chowdhury, who's now at Ohio State University, who produced a system, a very complex system for obtaining patient metastatic biopsies and studying the sequence of these metastatic lesions in a way that allowed them to actually feed back to the clinic to better choose and select treatments based on the genomic characteristics of the tumor. This is now a widely used methodology throughout the world in med-onc, and was really groundbreaking work at Michigan at the time. So this is the beginnings, the absolute beginnings of a sea change in medical oncology, where drugs can be matched to patients' genotype irrespective of the site of origin of the tumor. We're very proud that prostate cancer accrued great benefits from this early work at Michigan. This is followed by the creation of 2 PCF Stand Up to Cancer Dream Teams, one led by Charles Sawyers and Arul Chanayan that spanned across to England and around the United States, and a second on the west coast of the United States from Vancouver to Los Angeles, where large cohorts of men with advanced metastatic prostate cancer received biopsies. And these biopsies were studied in the context of discovering actionable mutations as well as studying resistance pathways to medications that were already being used in the clinic. This is probably the single most projected slide in presentations on prostate cancer. This is the landscape that we learned about, the mutational landscape of advanced prostate cancer from the International Dream Team. We have learned so much from this, from the group on the West Coast. They've done both hallmarks in structural variations as well as in methylation alterations in prostate cancer. And the International Dream Team was able to show an unanticipated amount of BRCA2 alterations and other DNA damage repair genetic alterations in patients with advanced prostate cancer that until this time had not been appreciated, which led to the evaluation of PARP inhibitors and the TOPARP trial of olaparib in advanced prostate cancer that motivated AstraZeneca to perform a quite extraordinary phase 3 randomized trial showing that PARP inhibitors actually do prolong progression-free survival, and more recently shown to promote increases in overall survival with FDA approval. Other drugs in this class include rucaparib, which is also FDA approved by the Food and Drug Administration. And another extraordinary finding from all of this precision medicine is the observation from Dr. Beltran while she was at Weill Cornell Medical College, now at the Dana-Farber, that a subclass of advanced prostate cancers actually assume a neuroendocrine phenotype. This has led to a great understanding of how to treat patients with treatment-resistant prostate cancer of unprecedented nature, also funded by our foundation. And finally, I'd like to say a little bit about PSMA PET and PSMA as a target. Work at Hopkins by Marty Pomper and Steve Cho led to the first imaging probe, which is on the eve of approval by the FDA, both at studies done at Hopkins as well as UCLA and UCSF. This is one of the most amazing breakthroughs in prostate cancer imaging in the history of the discipline, and allows physicians to see disease in patients where heretofore it was invisible. This too is up for approval at the FDA. And finally, the use of PSMA-targeted radionuclide therapy is a gigantic breakthrough. This is a way of targeting radioactive atoms directly to prostate cancer. And as you can see from these beautiful PET images from both pre and post radionuclide therapy, many patients with very advanced metastatic disease accrue a great benefit to their lives by clearing disease, and now studies are ongoing to combine these therapies with other medications to prolong survival in ways that I believe will be unprecedented. Our foundation funds a large program in this area at the Peter Mac in Melbourne, Australia, led by Michael Hoffman, Arun Azad, Gail Risberger, and Declan Murphy, a program that we're very proud of that spans out all over Australia and really the world in providing world-class treatment and world-class clinical trials. And finally, I'd like to spend just a minute on our VA program, which is also unprecedented. Our foundation has delivered precision care to every veteran in the VA hospital system throughout the United States by funding certain centers of excellence where you can see on this slide exist throughout the country. We're extremely proud to have advanced this really unique treatment strategy to our most treasured veterans nationwide. For example, one center of excellence at UCLA led by Matthew Rettig, on the left of this slide, and Bruce Montgomery at the Puget Sound VA University of Washington, has advanced new clinical trials that will benefit veterans in ways that were heretofore just simply not possible. Our funding helps set up infrastructure and affords the possibility of doing many more really important clinical trials for patients in our VA hospital system for our treasured veterans. I know I haven't said much that is really relevant to focused ultrasound surgery, but I'd like to draw attention to one clinical state of advanced prostate cancer that is currently receiving a great deal of clinical attention, and that is the state that we call oligometastatic prostate cancer. So this could be a patient that still has a prostate with biopsy-proven prostate cancer, but has 3 or 4 or 5, depending on definitions, variable definitions, of distant metastatic sites. And the question is, can one consolidate treatment of these few metastatic sites seen by PSMA PET imaging with SABR radiotherapy? And in this small randomized clinical trial done in Baltimore by Futron and mentored by Adam Dicker at Thomas Jefferson University, these investigators asked that question. And indeed, progression-free survival is improved in this small study by treating the distant metastases and the prostate itself. So this so-called Oriole clinical trial is now being expanded into larger randomized trials, and we're hopeful for the future in this area. And I would like to end this discussion by one of our programs that we are, as a foundation, so proud of. We are most proud of our Young Investigator program, the next generations of leaders in prostate cancer. This slide needs to be updated with 2020 numbers, which we are just now announcing recipients. We have over 300 PCF Young Investigators in every area of prostate cancer research that you can imagine, from medical oncology to basic science, radiology, data science, genomics, molecular biology. It's all there, urology. We're very, very proud. And what this program provides is a 3-year, $250,000 grant award, if you will, to the highly pedigreed recipient that gives them an opportunity over 3 years to do something that they probably couldn't have done without this award. It also creates a community. We create a community for these people. We bring them together every year at our annual scientific retreat. And their contributions, as you can see from this slide, in additional funding and publications, and in their own mentoring, ultimately, is quite extensive. and we share with you just a few of our superstars. So I thank you for your time and attention, and much great appreciation to your foundation.